Hello, everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry. So we're going to go ahead and start doing our 53-man roster predictions here. We're going to go ahead and start off with, I think, the easiest ones to predict, quarterbacks. I have Teddy Bridgewater starting, and the only controversy was kind of the backup role. I'm going to give it to Will Grier. I think he wins it. From all notes from camp, he's looking really good. Not like the guy we saw at the end of last year. And then last, I see PJ Walker still making the roster.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this is a no-brainer. You keep 3 quarterbacks this year for sure. Teddy is obviously signed the big contract. He's the starter. I do have Will Grier as the main backup as well. You've just been hearing good things out of camp, honestly. Matt Rule seems to be pleased with Will. I don't think PJ is playing bad either. So I feel pretty good about our quarterback room.
Yeah. And now let's take a look at the running backs. If you want to go ahead and go through yours.
Sure. A little bit of surprise at starter here. I have Trenton Cannon. I'm just kidding. Christian McCaffrey. He is the starter. Obviously, he's the heartbeat of our team. I've got Mike Davis backing him up, and then I've got Reggie Bonifant also making the team. Just 3 running backs right now. And let's go ahead and talk fullback too. I do not have Alex Arma making the team. So a little bit of a surprise there. I just don't think the fullback is going to be a part of the offense here. So McCaffrey, Bonifant, Mike Davis, not necessarily in that order.
And I am actually agreeing with you. I have McCaffrey obviously starting. Mike Davis as the backup. I've read that he's basically solidified it already. That there's not really that much of a question anymore, which kind of surprised me with how well Reggie Bonifant filled in last year. But
yeah.
And then I have Bonifant, as a third. Now, as fullback, I actually have him, here, Alex Arma, still on the roster.
And he may make it. I know a lot of teams don't have a fullback, and I just figured, I don't know. Alex Arma, I think he's a good football player. I just don't know if he has a place on the offense. That's all. So I just took a flyer and said no.
No, I understand. I think he has some versatility. I think I remember him lining up as tight end a couple times, but I also think we don't have a short yardage back on the roster with McCaffrey, Mike Davis, and Reggie Bonifant, all kind of that stat back, elusive back, not really a power guy. And maybe they want to keep Arma as that too. So,
and I would also just add here that I think that we will end up picking up another running back at some point in the offseason after cuts, and maybe Bonifant is not a guarantee on the roster. Or maybe we run with 4. I mean, we probably will run with 4, but I think that 4th could be TBD.
All right. Now we're going to move on to the glamour position, wide receiver. I have DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson starting, Curtis Samuel in the slot. And then as my 4th receiver, I have Pharoh Cooper. I've heard he has had a really good camp, not only as returner, but he's looked really good as receiver. So I think he has that 4 spot. Then I have Tommy Lee Lewis making the roster and Seth Roberts as well. And then in my notes, Omar Bayless to IR. So,
okay, we're almost chalk here. I went Moore, Anderson, Samuel as the starters. Obviously, I did have Pharoh Cooper as well, mainly for his return skills. I did put Tommy Lee Lewis there, but I have Brandon Zylstra as the 6th wide receiver.
I thought about him. I've heard he's had a really good camp, and I've seen him while I watched the training camps make some good plays.
Yeah, and same here, and that's sort of why obviously Keith Kirkwood has been hurt. I actually think he would have been in that sixth spot just because of his familiarity with Brady and Bridgewater. I think he had a really good shot at making it. And then Omar Bayless, I think, probably would have been it had Kirkwood gotten hurt and Bayless didn't. So Cam Phillips, the guy that we just signed, kind of a wild card. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in camp. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, same as you, but Zylstra in that sixth spot.
And I kind of went with Roberts over to Zylstra just because I think they brought him in. They signed him as a free agent. Mm-hmm. That may just tip the scales. He has some playing experience.
Yeah.
I know Zylstra played a couple games for us, but that's, not a lot.
Yeah, I didn't pick him because of his experience or anything. I just mainly picked him because I think he's been pretty good in camp. And that sixth spot is always a guy, that you just... It almost could be any of them, right?
Yeah.
So.
All right, moving on. Offensive line. I have Russell Okung, obviously left tackle. I have Dennis Daly starting left guard. Matt Paradis. Then at right guard, John Miller. Then Taylor Moton. With them being backed up by Greg Little, Michael Schofield, Tyler Larson, Sam Tecklenburg, and Chris Reed.
Okay. We're a little different here. I've got Okung, obviously. Okung, Paradis, and Moton at their respective positions, I think, are locks. I have John Miller at left guard and Daly at right guard. But who knows? I think they're both pretty pliable and could switch. Yeah. For the backups, I have Greg Little at tackle. I got Brandon Bowen at left guard instead of Tecklenburg. Tyler Lawson, obviously, I think is a must keep. And then I have Schofield, and then I have Matt Caskey at right tackle.
I thought with Sam Tecklenburg being a Baylor guy, I thought that kind of tipped it in his favor.
Yeah, I gave the Baylor bump to another guy that we'll talk about here in a bit.
The Baylor bump.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. Now to the highest position in your eyes, tight end.
Yeah, Ian Thomas, I think, is going to be the starter. Although I don't think he beats out Manhertz. Manhertz is the backup. I don't think he beats out Manhertz. Like 100%. I think that is a battle. That is a position battle. And then I have Tamarick Hemingway also on the roster as the third tight end. I do think that could change. I think that we will go out and get a tight end, much like the end of the roster running back. I think we'll do the same for tight end and bring in somebody else, a veteran probably.
I have Ian Thomas, Chris Manhertz. I have Giovanni Ricci making the roster, but I also have a fourth spot set to be determined because I think they're going to bring in someone for the tight end position too. They may drop Ricci and bring in another guy and put Ricci on the practice squad, but I easily see them adding somebody here.
Yeah, I think Ricci just doesn't make the roster, mainly for spite because of somebody that talked to us on YouTube. Mainly for spite. Yep. All right, move us along. Let's get to the defense.
Defense. Let's start off with defensive tackle. I'm going to go KK Short, Derek Brown, Bravian Roy, Bruce Hector, and Zach Kerr. And I could easily also see us bringing in another guy that's waived at the beginning of the season and replacing Hector or Kerr.
So I went Derek Brown, KK Short, obviously, and Bravian Roy. He's the other guy that got the Baylor bump for me, and that's it. That's all I have at DT.
Okay, so kind of thin. There's another player that I'm going to talk about here who's been rumored to playing defensive tackle too. Because I thought 5 may be too many with the rumors that he's playing defensive tackle. So let's go ahead and go to our edge rushers.
Edge rushers, I've got actually got Stephen Weatherly starting. Brian Burns starting, obviously. And then I've got Yetur Gross-Matos, Adrius Taylor as backups, and then Ife Obata in there as well as a backup.
I have Brian Burns. I actually put this one out of order. I have Weatherly starting as well, and then Yetur Gross-Matos. F.A. Abada, and he's the player I was talking about that has been playing defensive tackle too and end. So,
Yep.
And then I have Marquise Haynes.
Okay, I have Marquise Haynes listed as
linebacker?
linebacker here, so
I have him more of as an edge rusher. So
okay, that's fine. I add Haynes in there as well for me then, just in that group.
okay.
But yeah, I had heard the same about Obata, which is sort of why I was pretty thin on tackle.
I
But
would like to see that, especially on pass rushing downs. I think that would be a really good.
supposedly Obata has had a very, very good camp. So
Right, we know.
I'm looking forward to him making the team.
Yeah, we all love F.A. Obata. His story is great. He seems like a really good guy, and he looks like whenever he's out there, he can make plays.
Yep.
All right, linebacker is where I'm slightly thin at. So if you want to go ahead and go with yours, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I actually went a little heavy on linebacker. I got Shaq and Whitehead starting, Jermaine Carter Jr., Andre Smith, and then Jordan Kinesic as the fifth linebacker. We'll talk about it a little later. But yeah, so I went 5 deep in linebacker.
I went only 4. And again, Brian Burns could slip back,
Sure.
Marquise
Jeremy Chin
Haynes.
could play linebacker. I mean,
Exactly.
we've got some versatility there.
Yeah, so I went Shaq Thompson, Tahir Whitehead, Jermaine Carter, and Jordan Kinesic.
Okay.
So
Chris Orr has apparently had a fairly good camp as well, so it wouldn't surprise me if he slips in there instead of Andre Smith or Kinesic. Honestly, I think those 3 are pretty similar. But I love to hear you say Kinesic, so I definitely put him in there.
well, I'm going mostly off what I watched last season in preseason on Kinesic. He looked really good last preseason. He was flying around, so I'm assuming he's doing the same, but I haven't really heard any notes. So
Gotcha.
now moving on to cornerback. Starters, Dante Jackson, Eli Apple. Not really questioning it that much. Troy Pride Jr., TJ Green, and Stanley Thomas Oliver. Another place where I could see possibly them adding another guy, just as depth.
Yeah, I'm the same. Jackson, Apple as starters. Now, TJ Green supposedly has been playing very well and has lined up with the starters quite a bit at corner and the Eli Apple spot, essentially. But TJ Green also has some safety experience as well. I think he was actually a safety in college, so he could play safety as well. But I have him listed in the corner slot here. And then I got our rookies, Thomas Oliver, and Tony Pride Jr. Troy Pride Jr. I always call him Tony. Yeah, and then I've got Cole Luke also. I think he's also gonna end up making the roster. I went real deep on the positions that I was a little iffy on.
And that makes sense. And like I said, a lot of these, I'm expecting us to pick somebody up.
Sure, yep. These end of the roster guys, they may make the initial 53 and then get cut the next day.
And Stanley Thomas Oliver, I think, makes the roster. I've heard he's had a pretty solid camp for
I've
rounder.
heard the same.
I mean,
I've heard the same about Pride.
Pride's definitely making the roster.
He's apparently had a very good camp as well. So, all right. So I guess that just leaves safety, right? Mm-hmm. I have Trey Boston and Justin Burris as my starters.
Get out of my head. That's who I do too.
Jeremy Chin is in there, and by the way, I think Jeremy Chin is going to be a starter. I don't know if it's at safety, and I don't know if it's at linebacker, and I don't know if it's maybe even at corner or edge rusher. Like, I have no idea. I think Jeremy Chin will start the season at some position, but Justin Burris has had a great camp, and he is very well thought of by Matt Rule. So I've got him as the starter, and then I also have Quinn Blanding making the roster, and unfortunately, our XFL friend Kenny Robinson, I do not have him making the roster.
I have Jeremy Chin. Again, I agree with you. He's starting. I think he's going to be starting as kind of a joker kind of player. That's what Ron Rivera used to call it, like a hybrid linebacker safety position. And I think that's what he's going to play. I think, like you said, Burris is having a heck of a camp. So I think they're going to leave him back there. And I have Kenny Robinson playing because Kenny Robinson also offers that versatility of playing corner and playing safety. So I have him. I don't have Quentin Blanding.
Yeah, I've heard that Robinson has had a tough camp and has not really impressed. So that's why that I don't know that he makes the roster. I hope he does because, like you said, he's got some versatility. So neither of us have Corn Elder making the team.
Oh, no. There's a no Corn Elder on this roster.
So
Finally,
Corn Elder
could we get rid of him?
Well, here's the question. He doesn't make the initial roster. Does he play a game for the Panthers at some point this season? That's almost definitely yes, right? Like, he will at some point be on this team.
No, he's going to be on Washington football team at one point this year.
Or the Buffalo Bills or the
I think
New York
only
Giants.
Washington. I think Ron Rivera. That's where he's going. Because I don't think Sean McDermott had familiarity with him. I think he came in after McDermott started head coach.
True. But there is that Buffalo to Carolina pipeline. Although, with Rivera gone, may not exist as much anymore. Of course, you still got the GMs. Well, hell, I mean, even Herney and Bean didn't work together, so unless they did in Herney's previous tenure, which I'm not sure.
Yeah, he did.
All right.
Brandon Bean was here for a long time. Like, supposedly he was being groomed to be the GM.
Oh yeah, and I wish they would have made that move sooner. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Well, let's move to special teams real quick. I think both of us have. I would assume both of us have J.J. Jansen as the long snapper.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll play forever. I assume both of us have Joey Sly as the starting place kicker.
Yeah, I don't know who else. I mean, I guess
there's nobody else really on the roster. I do not have a punter. I think punter is not currently on the roster. I don't think either of these guys make the team as a punter. But if I had to choose, I'd say Vidvik.
I picked Vidvik.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be that surprised if we go sign somebody and release both of them.
I don't like kickers. Let me clarify that. I do not like kickers who can punt and kick. Because I don't think that they're good enough at either to have focused on it, right? So they do both, and they're sort of like a gimmicky type player. Oh, I can do both. And then they come into tryouts, and they'll do some things, but they never really make the team. So I don't like guys like that. But if I had to choose, I'd say Vedvik just because I think Charlton is pretty terrible.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree. That Charlton kicking over the fence a couple times when you're basically given the job.
Yeah, embarrassing.
Yeah.
All you had to do was not kick it over the fence.
And like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if Vedvik was gone at the end of the season. Someone else got cut that had a better punter, competition.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything else for today?
Let's see. No, I think that's pretty much it. Check out our YouTube channel, everybody. Please like and subscribe. Mash that like and subscribe button, as all the YouTubers say. But definitely do subscribe. Jerry does a great job on that. And, we're starting to get some traction. There's a lot of conversation on some of these videos. especially recently our quarterback video. Lots of discussion on that one. So join the discussion. We do respond and maybe even talk about it on the show. So check out YouTube. Just search for MeowMix Podcast.
Yeah. And maybe game manager wasn't the correct term. Maybe dip and dunk, man. Dip and dunk.
Well, I think game manager just has like a negative connotation, right? But I don't think you meant it in a negative way.
No. Not at all. I mean, there's some really good game managers out there that,
Tom Brady is a game manager.
Exactly.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, Tom Brady is a game manager, and he's a great one.
Exactly.
And Teddy Bridgewater, just because we say he's a game manager, and I agree with you, that doesn't mean he's not a good quarterback.
Like I said, I think I need to change it to dip and dunk, and then they'll completely change their mind, even though I'm meaning the exact same thing.
I don't know. Then they're going to say, oh, he can still throw it deep. He can throw it deep, which I saw him throw a nice deep ball yesterday. So.
All right. Well, thank everybody for listening. If you have any questions or comments or have any ideas for the show, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. Please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe wherever you're listening now.
All right, everybody. We will be back next week with something. We've been talking about several different segments to do before the season starts. So we still need to do our schedule breakdown. We need to do a few things. So we will be back next week. Maybe twice, definitely once. But until then, everybody stay safe and keep pounding.